We continue to keep a very close eye on all the developments surrounding the Shraddha Walker murder case. And joining us now exclusively is Kiren Bedi, former top cop RPS officer. Thank you so much, Kiren Bedi, for your time here. You've been talking about the fact that how the police in fact should be going about registering these crimes, especially that of missing women. In this particular case, there are just so many discrepancies. Also, the role of the family here, which is upsetting, given that the father didn't even know that his child, his young daughter, was missing for many months until the time the friends informed the father. What could have been done better? How could have this case been handled better?
See, there are a lot of lessons to be learned. There are two aspects of this case to my mind. One is the police investigation, which is happening at breakneck speed. And I have no doubt that with the kind of experience Delhi police has had in these kinds of cases, it will do a solid good job. And I also hope the judiciary will expedite the trial of this case. So as far as it's a lot of forensic science involved, a lot of DNA involved, because it has to be linked. The weapon has to be yet recovered. So there's a lot of work yet, and brain mapping, the lie detector. So there's a lot of scientific evidence required to be collected and implemented. That will be the police angle, which we'll keep hearing as the 90 days when the case is charge sheeted before the court. As far as the parents is concerned, I think I've been repeatedly saying that the primary responsibility of the parents is to provide security to their children.
Yes.
Boys do take care of themselves to a great extent, but girls need to be made bolder and courageous as they are groomed. Now, what is that bold and courageous I meant? I meant that they should be told of the challenges and realities of life as they move into relationships. Well, they will move into relationships, that's a human need, but not to accept disrespect to their self-respect, or not to get humiliated, or not to get attacked, not to be victims of violence. I think that grooming by the parents and the teachers in the classrooms for girls, but boys have to be told to be responsible, but the girls need to be told to be trained to be bold and courageous, and parents should not give up. They should not give up. If supposing a decision a daughter has taken, which is not in consonance with their thinking, they ought not to give up on their children, because that's their primary responsibility, to keep track at least of the girls. At least of the girls, because women are vulnerable to certain issues. So therefore, I would think the parents have a very important role. Even if the girl says, I've got nothing to do with you, parents must keep track of their daughters.
You know, Ms. Bedi, in this case, this young girl was repeatedly telling her friends, sending SOS messages. She didn't have a mother, probably she didn't have a relationship with a father, that I'm in trouble. She's also gone to the extent of saying that this man is going to get me killed. You know, I want to get out of this relationship. Still, in spite of that, she landed up where she did. You know, this is so unfortunate.
Well, if there is evidence of information going, that means the father knows, because these messages are traceable. You can trace the messages from the place where they're coming. If the father or a relative or a friend has had this kind of a messaging, then the responsibility was of the friend or the relative to trace the girl and respond, and in fact even inform the police at that time.
Well, absolutely. There's been a delay on that front as well. Also, I want to know from you now, to talk about the basics of this case. 5 months have lapsed ever since this crime took place. The police is still looking for the body parts. How important or significant is it going to be to recover all the body parts, the murder weapon in this case? You know, like I said, 5 months have lapsed. Certainly, a lot of clues would be missing, isn't it?
Yes, but you see, confession made to a police officer is not admissible in the courts.
Yes.
He's admitting. That's what the newspapers are saying. But the fact that police is recovering these body parts is on the basis of the accused pointing them out, is a very, very admissible and credible evidence. That section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act is very, very useful, because any recovery which is made on the pointing out by the accused is very credible, and the courts add a lot of value to it.
Also, Ms. Bedi, I want to ask you, the Delhi police is asking for a narco analysis test on this man. I believe the laws require the accused also to give a consent, because without his consent, the courts also can't give a green signal.
Let us see what the court decides, but the narco and the brain mapping would be essential, because then you need to know the sequence of the case. How did you yet have to recover the weapon? So you got to trace the sequence. How did it all happen? What were the possible the triggers which led to this kind of brutal? Let us see what the court says. But I think the narco and brain mapping would be very, very essential and would be very helpful in establishing the sequence of the case, as I said.
Do you believe, looking at the sequence of events and as your experience as a police officer, that there is a larger conspiracy to all of this, that all of this was pre-planned, it wasn't really in the heat of the moment? It does appear that this man was in fact wanting to kill Shraddha even a few days before the actual crime happened. This manner in which they moved to Delhi, left their jobs in Mumbai, Shraddha stopped being in touch with her friends, they've all come on the channel, on our channel, and spoken about it. Do you believe that there was something more to what really meets the eye, and this really wasn't in the heat of the moment?
That is exactly the area of our investigation. Yes. How engaged was he on the dating map? Was he dating while he was living with Shraddha? Was he dating? Were there more women coming? Now, if more women had been coming, the neighborhood would have been alarmed. But question is, what was happening before? There has to be something which Shraddha is witness to, privy to, that he wanted to kill her identity completely, move her out of the scene so that she cannot speak out. I think there has to be something before which has built up to this kind of brutality.
What I also want to ask you, Ms. Bedi, a lot of people have been asking this. You look like a normal guy. I mean, a 20-year-old food blogger, loves food, loves to cook. I mean, you really wouldn't expect, somebody like that to come up with, just carry out a gruesome crime of this nature. What is it that goes on inside the mind of these criminals?
Well, our human mind has both the options. It has go up right to the Himalayas and connect with the divine, and it can also be very brutal as it is. That is what the human mind is all about. The animal mind is consistent with its nature, but human mind is very, very flexible, and it's also very evolving. It's devolving and evolving, and it goes right into the pits, and it also goes right up to the mountains and realizes the divine. That's what the mystery of the human mind is. I think these are the mysteries of human mind which continue to be studied and never revealed enough.
Ms. Bedi, the role of neighbors, really as CCTV cameras, I would say, they would work in Delhi, in a city like Delhi. This was very common for neighbors to interact with each other. Here's a young man and woman, they come and stay in this particular flat. Some of the neighbors have actually gone on to say that they never really actually even saw Shraddha, but they've seen other women come and go. How important does the role of the society, your immediate neighbors, then become to keep, in fact, your eyes and ears open for things like these?
As I said, it's a social failure. Parents have failed parents have refused, friends have failed to remain, but friends finally woke up to say, where is our friend? There is a radio silence. So parents have failed. Friends have failed in a way, but came to a later rescue. Society has failed. Tenant verification was important earlier. The police used to insist on tenant verification, that before you have a tenant that you will verify. Where is that verification? So I think the enforcement of tenant verification needs to come back. Similarly, the neighbors were told not to disturb them. Now, who are they then? I think the parents need to be curious. So I think that kind of curiosity and safe neighborhood is a combined responsibility, both of the landlord as well as the immediate neighbors.
Also there's a sibling involved here. There is an older brother of Shraddha that we know about right now, though we've not seen him. But we've heard of him from his friends. Essentially, there's a sibling also. Even if the father was upset with the daughter, the role of the sibling also becomes extremely important at the end of the day.
That's exactly what I said. It appears to be a family failure, because families should not. But we must also groom our girls. Look, anybody can fail. What about she failing? The woman must be bold enough to say no to domestic violence from first incident itself. First incident, a man who's indulging in domestic violence and also watching these crime serials, I think is a very risky proposition. Very risky proposition. Women must be told to raise a red flag, yellow flag, red flag right away when the person starts becoming violent domestically. And she has the laws. She can run and she can call up hundreds and ask for help, but not be afraid all the time to mera ghar ka kahan ho, main kahan rahungi. That's where the family role comes in. That's where social role comes in. That's where institutions of women for women's security come in.
All
That's
right.
where the social role comes in.